Well, hey, mamas. Hello, hello. We are wrapping up our series about preparing for parent teacher conferences. Today, we're talking about homework versus tests versus projects, and we're focusing on those deadlines, on those due dates. So, I'm curious, does your teen know when his next test is happening in every class? Let me know down below what classes your teen is prepared for. Like your teen knows, yep, there's a test tomorrow, or nope, I've got another couple weeks. Let me know down below how familiar you are because your teen needs to know this. Okay, your teen needs to know what tests, what projects are happening in each class and when they're actually due. Okay, we talked yesterday about the online versus the in person in class due dates. If you missed that, watch that because today we're focusing more on the different types of assignments, different parts of your class, your teen's grades in each class. Okay, now before we jump into this, do know I would love to talk to you, would love to talk to your teen about study skills, about all of these things as they relate to schools, as they relate to your teen's level of learning through a free consultation. So be sure to check out the link in the description, book that free call after the video. So let's talk about this here. All right. As you've probably heard me say in other videos, this series, because this is video 6, our final one, all about getting ready for those parent teacher conferences. But I'm going to say it again, just in case. And I got to tell your teen especially, look at the syllabus. Okay. Your teen needs to look at the syllabus for very, very important information related to each class. Now, as we're at the beginning of the semester, beginning of a school year, hopefully that syllabus has a lot of this information. Okay. Your child should be able to tell very easily from that syllabus how often is there going to be homework? How often are there going to be tests? Are there any projects in this class? Okay, so definitely have your child look at that syllabus. And remember, it might be online, might be something the teacher handed out in class. Could be something that, maybe you need to request, mamas, because your teen's like, I just don't know. And hopefully your teen's asking for it too. Maybe it could just be like a list of announcements. Could be like a blanket one for the school. But we want to start there. Okay, for figuring out due dates of all the different things available in the class, we gotta look at the syllabus. Okay, because I gotta tell you, it's very, very common for teachers to know ahead of time. There's gonna be 4 tests. We're gonna finish a unit every month. So at the end of every unit, there's gonna be a test. Okay, we want to figure out what the guidelines are in a class, what those kind of general scheduling are gonna be in each class. We want this so that your team can start to plan, can start to manage those expectations, work on organization, work on study skills, all of those fun study skills. Okay, so hopefully I said time management, organization, and study skills. Okay, so that's kind of step number 1 is figuring out, has the teacher shared that information? And if not, then that's when that self-advocacy piece comes in. And we want your team to find out. Okay, it's beyond reasonable that when you show up at parent teacher conferences for you to know, mamas, okay, science teacher, you said there's going to be 3 tests this semester, or English teacher, you said my child's going to read 5 books and write 2 papers. Like, that is reasonable. If your child doesn't know now, it's not on the syllabus, hasn't been shared, definitely do know that's something that can be asked now or even before parent teacher conferences, or definitely bring it up at conferences. Okay. Now, have a couple more thoughts I want to share. Before I do, I want to say thanks for watching here on Facebook. Thanks for watching on YouTube. I'm Jessyka Coulter, CEO and founder of Ace Cookie Tutoring. I help teens love to learn by teaching them how to learn through study skills. So thank you so much for supporting Ace Cookie Tutoring. Be sure to follow, be sure to subscribe, because there'll be a new series coming out starting tomorrow. All right, so let's talk about projects for a second. With projects, your child is going to have a due date for that project. And again, hopefully it's on the syllabus. If not, we want your teen to know how many projects and what kind of time your teen's going to have to work on those. Okay. Is it going to be a project that your teen finds out the first week of school? Because this can happen, does happen, but it's not due till the end of the semester. Or is it going to be something that your child finds out about, say, in October, and then they're going to spend the rest of the semester working on that? Or it could even be, every single project your child's never going to work on in class. It's just going to have to be all at home. and they only spend research time at school, and then they have to actually put the presentation, the poster, the whatever together again at home on your child's own time. So we want to know that. Now, the reason I am such a big believer in knowing these due dates, knowing these deadlines, like we talked about, the time management organization, but then we also want all of these due dates, as soon as your teen finds out about these, to go in a planner, to go on the calendar at home. Okay, your teen needs to know this information again so we can start planning, because we find out, okay, every Friday I'm going to have a math quiz. And then we find out every other Friday your teen has a science test. And then every 6 or 7 weeks, there's going to be an English paper due. And it's always going to be due on Friday. Again, that means your teen's going to have like really busy Thursday nights and Wednesday nights. And hopefully we'll start to space things out. But again, can't do that if your child doesn't know the due dates. Okay. Now, 2 more important things here before we wrap up the series, before we wrap up this video. Number 1, for all of my mamas watching that have older kids, kiddos in high school and especially in college, do know one of those important due dates to find out as fast as possible, as soon as possible, is the exam schedule, especially when we're talking finals. Okay. School probably doesn't know in August. Finals are going to be December 5th through 8th. But the school could definitely say finals are always the first week of December, or we'll announce it at the end of November, whatever, hopefully sooner than the end of November. But definitely for my older mamas, older kiddos, we want to know when our finals, even if the teachers can just say, hey, last year, we did all of, the A classes for on the first day, and then we took the weekend, and then the rest of the classes were the next week. Something like that. Have your teen ask, find that information out. Last thing I would tell you, talking about deadlines, talking about due dates, and remember, like I said yesterday, we talked about online versus in person, so I'm not talking about that today, but just know that if the syllabus says tests are every Friday, or your child gets told, hey, project's due 3 weeks from today, we want to know, how will your teen know the due date, the deadline has changed, okay? Because we don't want your teen thinking, oh, I've got 2 more weeks to do this, and then the teacher brings it up, because that can happen, makes it a lot less time. Or it could also be, oh, a lot of people seem confused, and the teacher pushes back the test date by 3 or 4 days. But your teen is still operating, oh my goodness, I have to figure it out now. So yeah, your child's more prepared early, but yet we also have to remember it for longer. I hope still practice, keep refreshing, keep using, but we also want to know, how can your teen know? Okay, because we don't want your teen getting frustrated, don't want your teen getting overwhelmed, don't want your teen to think the teacher's a liar, and we got to know, how is that being communicated? And that was another part of our series, all about communication. But when we're talking about due dates, we got to know, how is a teacher going to communicate that? Is it going to be something on the board, something your teacher is going to send an email out about, post it on Canvas, like what's going to happen? Because again, that's something to bring up at parent-teacher conferences if you're feeling a little like, okay, due date's changed, but I'm not sure how he let us know. So if you've got questions, definitely let me know down below. Always happy to do a follow-up video for this series. But I wanted to share about due dates today, especially because there are going to be many, many parts to your child's grade in each class, many opportunities for learning in each class, and your teen might be great at tests, might really love projects, or might just count on that daily homework every day to really practice and understand the material. So that goes to the dates and the grades and the kind of makeup of the grades we talked about a couple days ago. But definitely figure out these due dates sooner than later. And remember, mamas, it is not your job, okay? Your child, when they are getting older, like middle school, and especially in high school, I encourage you to take a step back. Let your teen practice this self-advocacy. Might not be pretty, might be kind of messy, but your teen has to learn how to ask for help. Your teen has to learn, okay, how do I find this information? Where do I go? How do I find out? Now, obviously, sometimes mamas, you're going to need to take a step forward because maybe the teacher doesn't respond to an email. the teacher and your teen just don't communicate right. We've all been there, unfortunately. So definitely do know due dates are just a small piece of the puzzle. So I encourage you to schedule that free consultation now. Go to that link, choose a day, choose a time, so that these parent-teacher conferences can go really, really well. So your teen can love to learn because he has the study skills to learn anything in any class. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow for a new video and a new series.